There's a category of software being sold to medical practices right now under a very friendly promise. An automated receptionist for $99 a month. Bolt it on, point your phone line at it, never miss a call again. For a barbershop booking trims, that's probably fine. But the most expensive mistake a high-ticket clinic can make is trusting a $99 generic AI with a $10,000 patient inquiry. A medical front desk isn't the same job as a generic one with a different greeting. It's a different job that just happens to start with the same hello. Look at how the budget tier is actually built. The horizontal vendors sell one product, a single engine trained to answer for a plumber, a law office, a dental chain, and a wellness clinic with the same underlying behavior. That's the whole model. Build once, sell to everyone, keep the price low by never specializing. The enterprise tier above it usually just buys more call volume, not a fundamentally different machine. And horizontal by design has a cost that lands exactly where a high-value practice can least afford it. An engine trained to book anything has no model of your protocols. It can't tell a tire kicker from a candidate for a 5-figure course of care. It can't read the patient's intent, so it just books the nearest open slot. For a haircut, that's correct. For a regenerative orthopedics practice, where one protocol can mean a 5-figure difference per patient, that's revenue walking quietly out the door. Here's the part the budget pitch never mentions. An autonomous agent with no boundaries isn't an asset. It's a liability with a friendly voice. The security community even has a name for this. OWASP, the people behind the security checklist most engineers already trust, lists excessive agency as a top risk for anything built on a large language model. Excessive agency means giving an agent more power to act, decide, or access than its job actually requires. The danger isn't that the agent is unintelligent. The danger is that it's capable of doing something it should never have been permitted to do. Picture that on a medical line. An agent improvising clinical advice it has no business giving, quoting a price the practice never authorized, anchoring a patient low before a physician has even examined them, following a manipulative caller because nothing in its design told it where the wall was. On a budget receptionist, those walls are thin or absent because building them costs engineering time that $99 a month can't fund. We build the wall in deliberately. Our agents are scoped to a defined list. Book, qualify, reschedule, route, escalate to a human, and explicitly restricted from clinical judgment, pricing improvisation, and anything outside that lane. A high-ticket practice needs those restrictions more than a barbershop, not less. Because when its front desk oversteps, the result isn't a typo, it's a clinical or compliance event. Agency limits are just one layer. We think of the controls around an agent as a stack, because each layer catches what the one before it might miss. How the agent handles what a caller tries to make it do. The hard agency limits. The safeguards around protected health information, a defined human escalation path the moment a call leaves the agent's remit, monitoring that surfaces what actually happened on the line, and a human oversight layer that reviews and corrects. Our boutique builds run a 4-layer version of that stack. Our medical deployments, operating behind a signed business associate agreement and end-to-end encryption of protected health information, run a heavier 6-layer stack. Those 2 extra layers aren't a premium garnish. They're the controls a high-ticket clinical context demands. HIPAA compliant is a phrase the budget tier uses loosely. The honest test is whether the vendor will actually sign the agreement and build to it. Most won't, because their architecture was never designed to. There's a quieter failure that costs just as much. A patient calling about a peptide protocol or a regenerative injection is listening in the first 10 seconds for exactly one signal. Does whoever answered actually know what I'm talking about? A generic agent fails that test immediately. It mishears the protocol, mispronounces the medication, flattens a specialized inquiry into the nearest generic slot, and a patient who is ready to book a high-value consult quietly decides this isn't a serious practice. That's why our specialists are trained narrowly, not broadly. Aurora carries the language of longevity, hormone, peptide, and metabolic medicine. Phoenix carries the regenerative and musculoskeletal lexicon. Each is built to sound like it belongs at the practice it answers for. A horizontal engine is trained to handle everyone, which is exactly why it converts no one in a specialized field. The vocabulary is the credibility, and credibility is what a high-ticket patient is buying before they buy anything else. None of this means more expensive is automatically better. It means a practice handling consequential high-value protocols has a different problem than the budget product was built to solve, and paying $99 to solve the wrong problem isn't a saving. It's the cost of the patients the generic agent mishandled, the high-ticket inquiries it flattened, and the compliance exposure it quietly carried, none of which ever show up on the invoice. And this isn't a checkbox you flip on a self-serve dashboard. A specialized medical front desk is a deliberate build, clinical vocabulary, agency limits, a 6-layer safety stack, a human escalation path, assembled and tested against your real protocols. We do that work in 4 weeks. Not because we're slow, because doing it properly is the entire point. So here's the honest way to settle it. Not a sales argument, a measurement. Point us at your main line and let us document what it actually does after hours when a real patient calls with a real specialized inquiry. What your current setup hears, mishandles, or lets slip, and the estimated revenue impact of that leak at your current volume. Request an intake leak audit. We'll document what your line does today and hand you the math. And if the numbers say a generic receptionist is genuinely enough for your practice, we'll tell you that too. Go nuts with the $99 chatbot and save yourself the investment. The thinking robot. Revenue recovery infrastructure.